Hey folks, another quick tutorial on how to de-ess your vocals correctly. Sibilance is quite a big issue. It can make your track sound really shrill and thin and can cause a lot of ear fatigue for the listener, so they probably won't come back to the track if you haven't sorted your sibilance correctly. Let's just have a quick listen to this vocal first.
Let me tell you something, you're everything to me, and you don't know me nothing, this is where I wanna be.
So you can definitely hear the sibilance there. The most common approach is to use the EQ, and then with the EQ, you just find the frequency that is causing that issue, usually between 8 and 10K, and then you dip it out. The problem with that approach is that it's not dynamic. So as you can hear in the vocal there, the singer is not shrill all the time. The S's aren't happening continually. They're just happening in some places. So a better approach is to use a de-esser, and specifically two de-essers, because if you only use one de-esser, you can end up with a lispy sound. General rule in mixing as a whole is that it's better to, split the work within different plugins rather than having one plugin do a lot. That's just to keep things natural. If you're doing something creative and artistic, or if you want to drive a certain plugin, feel free to do more with that plugin. But something like a de-esser, I don't really want to hear it. It should just do its job, but not get in the way of the sound of the vocal. So there's two frequencies I find as a whole in any vocal, especially female but male too, that cause issues, and that is 8,000 to 10,000 and 5,000 kilohertz. So these two frequency ranges I find often I have to deal with. Depending on how strong the sibilance is, you might even want to potentially use a de-esser before your EQ that you use to clean things up, because it might take care of some of that for you. But again, let's go back to this vocal here, and I'm going to pull up this RDSR from Waves, which I like quite a bit. The great thing about this de-esser is you can use this solo button here. So let's just see what everything above 8,000 sounds like. There's two types of EQs usually in a compressor. This is more like a shelf, as you can see, and there's usually also like a bell notch sort of compressor. So we're going to utilize both. In the first one, we're going to utilize the shelf sort of EQ. So let's have a listen to that.
Then you're everything to me, and you don't know me nothing, this is where I wanna be.
And let's have a listen without it.
Let me tell you something, you're everything to me.
So I do like this de-esser, but maybe you can hear it's a little bit too much. It's taking away some of the energy. So I'm just going to up the threshold a bit.
Let me tell you something, you're everything to me. And let me tell you something, let me tell you something.
Yep, and then the range pretty much will dictate how much it needs to be reduced.
Let me tell you something, you're everything to me, and let me tell you something.
So you can see how much better that is with the de-esser.
Let me tell you something.
But it still sounds natural. And then what we can do is use another de-esser, but I'm gonna change the type from a shelf to more like a notch EQ. And let me just solo the de-esser here.
Let me tell you something.
So that 6,200 kilohertz frequency is also another frequency where I feel, could do with a bit of taming. And as you can see, I only need it on just certain words, and that's what a de-esser does so well. It keeps things natural, but just tames it and makes everything sound smoother and richer. This is without listening to it in solo mode.
Let me tell you something, you're everything everything to me, and you don't know me nothing. This is where I wanna be.
And with all the plugins off,
Let me tell you something. You're everything to me, and you don't know me nothing. This is where I wanna be, baby. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
so that's so much better. It's just taking care of the S's for us, but it's leaving the rest of the vocal untouched, which is what we want. And that is what a regular EQ will not do. You can just think of de-essers as multi-band compressors that affect the high, mid to high frequency ranges. That's essentially what a de-esser is. This particular RDSer, I like it a lot, and I use it often because it also has like a warm quality. It's emulating some analogness that, for example, just a regular de-esser doesn't. But use any stock plugin de-esser that you have. Try and use 2 instead of using 1, just so you can spread out the work and not have one de-esser do too much of it. But I hope this tip was helpful. If there's any other tips that you'd like, please leave a comment below and I'll make a video on it.